Hare Krishna. So once again, welcome back to our session on the Bhagavad Gita. So today we are heading towards the third session of our Bhagavad Gita. So first we'll thank Srila Prabhupada because of his mercy. We are, embarking in this anatomy structure of 18 days, 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada is the founder Acharya of ISKCON, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. We can see Prabhupada, one man from this great land of India at the age of 70, in just a short span of 11 years, 14 times he traveled the globe and he spread the message of Bhagavad Gita all over the world. And he is the author of this book, Bhagavad Gita. So they said that page by page, become a sage. Before you age, escape this cage. So Bhagavad Gita is such an amazing book. We are very grateful to Srila Prabhupada. He made what is impossible into possible. So today, we are heading towards the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna. So dear devotees, I'm very happy. So far, we have completed two important parts of Bhagavad Gita. One was chapter 1 to 6, which is focused on mainly on Karma Yoga, the yoga of action. And then the second part was from 7 to 12, that explains about the complete Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of devotion. So today, we are heading with chapter 13. So now, we are entering into a very, very important topic, third part of the Bhagavad Gita, which is called Jnana Yoga, the yoga of knowledge, is starting from chapter 13. But many of us may wonder, if Bhakti is the greatest, then why are we again going to the Jnana Yoga? All right? We may have this question. Actually, let me give an example. See, when we are cooking something, we have to cover on the top, right? Similarly, if you want to draw some water, we have to make sure that the bottom pot is covered. Similarly, there is a treasure in Bhagavad Gita to protect it from all sides, from top, bottom, from side, and keep it safe inside. So similarly, this Bhagavad Gita is a treasure, most precious part. That is why, Krishna surrounds it with Karma Yoga before, and then we have Jnana Yoga after that, just like we protect a jewelry covered with very carefully. So today, we are learning Jnana Yoga, not because it's higher than Bhakti, but to help us understand Bhakti even more better. So what are we going to cover in this chapter 13 is that from verse 1 to 7, Arjuna is speaking, what is knowledge? What is a field? Who is a knower? Who starts explaining this spiritual concept? That is intelligent question. And part 2 will speak about wisdom and how to attain it, right? That's from verse 8 to verse 12. Here, Krishna is telling us what is the real wisdom, jnana, and how do we develop that wisdom, right? And then we have a third part, Atma and Paramatma, So earlier, we studied about Atma, soul. But here from verse 13 to 19, in this chapter, we'll understand about Paramatma, the super soul, who is present in everybody's heart. All right. And then the last topic which we want to discuss today in chapter 13 is Eye of Wisdom. So this is a verse from 20 to 35. Totally, we have 35 verses from this chapter, and we'll discuss what should we actually see in the world. What is the right vision of reality? So the topic is entitled as Nature, the Enjoyer, and Consciousness, chapter 13. So let's embark now with the blessings of all acharyas. So this is the third session, third part of Bhagavad Gita, Jnana Yoga, the yoga of knowledge, starting from chapter 13. Hare Krishna. So here we can see the first verse of chapter 13. It says, Arjuna uvacha Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Kshetram Kshetrajanam Evacha Eta Viditam Ichami Jnanam Jnayam Sa Keshava. Arjuna is saying, oh my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, and the field and the knower of the field, and the knowledge and the object of knowledge. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, this body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, and one who knows this body is called the knower of the field. So now we are entering into the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which starts with the section of Jnana Yoga, the yoga of knowledge. But wait, didn't we already say Bhakti Yoga is the highest? Yes, but Bhakti is the ultimate part. But to understand Bhakti properly, Krishna is giving us this jnana, this knowledge. So we don't follow Bhakti blindly. We follow Bhakti with the understanding. That is why this chapter, Jnana Yoga, is very important to understand how Bhakti can be properly implemented in our life. So now, Arjuna asking 6 questions. Okay, what are the 6 questions? From this beginning of the chapter, is asking to Krishna, what is Prakriti? That is, what is his material nature? Is asking, who is Purusha? Who is his enjoyer? And he's asking, what is his field for the body? And who is the knower of the field? And what is jnana, wisdom? And what is the object or goal of wisdom? So these are the very deep questions, and Krishna is answering them in a very practical and a very powerful analogy. So what analogy does Krishna explain in the 6 questions is that the field and the knower of the field. So let us embark now, understand exactly what this means. Now I want you all to pay attention because I'm going to give an example and I want you to reply. Okay. So you can look at the screen, you can take a snapshot. You see 1, 2, 3, ABC. 1 is land, B is farmer, 3 is the king. A is Paramatma, B is body, C is soul. So I'll give you an analogy and let me see what is your answer. The analogy is we have land, farmer, and the king. Let me give you a very simple example. So there is a land. You can see number 1, there is a land. And there is a farmer who's using the land. Number 2, you can see that, right? Number 2. But there is a king who owns both the farmer and the land. That is number 3. Actually, the farmer is using the land, right? You can see in the number 2, the farmer is using the land. But ultimately, both the land and the farmer belongs to the king. Makes sense? Similarly, we, the soul, are using this body. Somebody answered that 1 is equal to B. That is right, actually. This land is compared to the body. This farmer is compared to the soul. And both belong to the king. Right? So similarly, it's like a soul, body, and Paramatma. So when a farmer follows the king's instruction, then the land becomes fruitful. Am I making you confused? No, right? Similarly, we can see, but if he ignores the king, he is punished. In the same way, if we use this body under Krishna's guidance, then we get a lot of spiritual benefit. But if we try to misuse it for our own enjoyment, without God's instruction, we may suffer. So the answer is, 1 is what? Land. Land is compared to B. 1B is the right answer. Land is compared to the B. And 2 is farmer compared to the C. Okay, 2 and C is the right answer. 1B, 2C, and 3A. Now, the king is compared to Paramatma. Because king is, allowing the farmer use the land, so the fruit belongs to the king only. All right. So that is the answer. So farmer belongs to the soul, the land belongs to the body, and the king belongs to super soul. So here, the farmer is what? The soul, right? And the land that is tilling, is the body. And the king is super soul. That's Paramatma. Okay, I'm sure, I think you're able to clear this, right? Farmer is referring to the soul. The land is body. And the king is the part of Paramatma, super soul. Okay. Now, the understanding is when you're using this body, for spiritual advancement, it's like using the land. So this body is like a land. When you're using it for the spiritual advancement, then what happens? The most expensive crops will give a lot of maximum result. Now, if you see, the land is like very beautiful. A lot of nice crops are grown. What does it mean? That means the body is there, and you see the result is very good, right? So using the body for spiritual advancement is like the land for the best. Okay, I'll make you more understandable. Let us have a small comparison. Paramatma and the soul. This is very clear, right? The soul is compared to the land. Sorry, the soul is The body is compared to the land. The soul is compared to the person who's a farmer, who's working on the land, and the king is compared to the Paramatma. This is clear, right? So now let us have a difference between Atma and Paramatma. Let's go a little deeper. See, the soul, the Atma, knows only its own body, right? And even that only partially. We don't know why we got this body, what karma we gave, what karma we got. So we know about this body, but not complete. But Paramatma is a Lord in the heart, is in everybody's heart. He knows all bodies, past, present, and future. That's why I can see the difference. Paramatma is the knower of the body. Soul, he knows only his own body. Paramatma is supreme owner and controller, and the soul is a secondary owner and controller. Right? So this is one thing we have to understand. So that will be easy for us to understand. So today the topic is like more about body and soul. So just pay attention, so that it will be easy for us to understand. Now, people may be very educated, very proud of the education, but Krishna says that knowledge, if we don't know, then we are spiritually illiterate. Because what knowledge we are sharing now is more divine. What is that? It is called the real jnana, real wisdom. What is that? See, some may think I studied engineering, I'm a PhD holder, I'm a scholar, I'm an MBA. That knowledge is okay, good, but not the highest knowledge. Because what I'm going to give you now is the highest knowledge. This is as per Bhagavad Gita. So here Krishna is revealing that the real jnana, the real knowledge means what? Understanding why we've got this body, and who we are. I'm going to say the soul, who we are, who am I, then who is Paramatma and what is the goal of life. So you see, there are four things it's been asked here. One thing is understanding why we got this body, why I got this body. Second thing is who we are, who am I? I'm a soul. All right, that's the second question. Third is who is God, who is Paramatma, right? And finally, what should be our goal in life? These four things gives you a clear understanding and which is beyond the highest knowledge than so-called PhD, MBA, whatever we study. So you remember in the last couple of classes I spoke about three aspects: Sambandha, Abhidheya, Prayojan. Exactly right. Yeah. Sambandha means trying to connect to the God, connect to Krishna. Like Krishna is our father. We are his children, So we have to connect with the Lord. That's called Sambandha. All right. Then we have Abhidheya. Abhidheya means it's a process, how to reach to Krishna. How do we reach? By chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, by hearing Krishna Katha, by serving. So by doing all these things, we can able to make a progress. That's called Abhidheya. Sambandha is to connect. Abhidheya is a process. What is the process? Connecting by chanting, by doing service, by worshipping Tulasi, by doing Ekadashi, it's a process. And the final is the goal. What is the real goal? That is called Prayojana. Listen, Lakshana chahiye. Prayojana means having a goal. The goal is that if we do this, Krishna can give us himself with love and light. Sorry, with love and So that is what I'm trying to say. The goal is that we have to reach Krishna, and Krishna also gives himself to us, right? That should be our goal. Sambandha, Abhidheya, and Prayojan. Sambandha is to connect. Abhidheya is a process, and Prayojana is to be there. That's to get the love of God. This is the three things which we wanted to make you understand. Of course, we discussed this in the earlier classes, but why it is very important, I'll discuss here. See, it says how to gain wisdom. Do you all recall in the couple of classes I spoke about how to gain knowledge? I spoke about two things. One is ascending order, descending order. Do you recall? Aroha Panta, Avaroha Panta, Pratyaksha Pramana, Anumana Pramana. Then we spoke about very important is Shabda Pramana, because that is coming through authority, through gurus, through disciplic succession. Remember the four Sampradayas you spoke? Gaudiya Mata Sampradaya, Parma Madhava Gauda Sampradaya, Sri Sampradaya, Kumara Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya. We spoke about that, right? So today, I'll tell you one small story about Srila Prabhupada, who got the real wisdom. See, in early days, Srila Prabhupada, was just living like a normal life, family man, working and doing business. But during that time, India was going through a great freedom struggle, and people were fully involved in that movement. Now, Srila Prabhupada once he said that people thought, why to talk about bhakti now? First let us get the freedom in our country. But it wasn't Srila Prabhupada's opinion. It was about the true freedom of India. So even Prabhupada was like freedom fighter before, But his spiritual master, when he met his spiritual master, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, what was his reply? He's saying, actually, the real freedom is not just political. Unless our mind and senses are free from material control, we can actually be fully free. So the real freedom comes when we are free from birth, death, old age, and disease. That is the true independence. Actually, this one meeting with the Srila Prabhupada, one meeting that Prabhupada had with his spiritual master, it made a big impact. One meeting changed Prabhupada's life. Why? Because he heard faith and surrender, and he received the true knowledge from Acharya. So the secret of the wisdom, what I want to say, that not just by reading books, but finding opportunity to accept with humility, approach a guru. That is through surrender and having faith. And that is what Prabhupada ji did. Actually it is said those who drink coffee and tea, it's very difficult for them to understand dharmic things very fastly. Why? Because, see, we may be, of course, we might be driven by British people, but we have still not thrown out the tea and coffee that they have left and went. So that means, the real freedom is that we have to come out from the cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease, And the real freedom is to how to have a control over mind and senses, becoming free from this cycle of birth and death. That is called the real freedom. So Srila Prabhupada, actually, he received the real freedom, and later he spread that wisdom all over the world, not just in Calcutta, India, all over the world. Today, you see, ISKCON has more than 700 centers all over the world. So what do we learn from this? That if we approach a right spiritual master with humility and faith, we get the real knowledge. And this knowledge can lead to Krishna. So that's why, my dear devotees, let's always remember, use this body. This body is like a land, use this body, and the soul, the farmer, remember the example I gave you? And we should be under the guidance of God, King. So three things always remember: body, soul, king. So body, soul, God. Body is compared to the land, and the soul is compared to the farmer, and the God is compared to the king. Then our life will be truly successful. So let's continue the journey of Jnana Yoga, not to become kind of a dry philosopher, but to become a very wise devotee. We can understand and appreciate bhakti even more deeply. So how did Srila Prabhupada receive the real wisdom? Yes, by meeting a self-realized guru with humility and faith. Now, this question again and again I'm repeating, the how to gain wisdom. All right. So we are discussing a very real spiritual knowledge, how to gain wisdom. Because last time also we spoke about gaining knowledge, gaining wisdom. Now again we're trying to come back same thing. What are we discussing here? Actually, see, for the bhakti, Ananya Bhakti, what we need is pure, unalloyed devotion. And it is very, very essential. Right? But to practice devotion properly, first thing is we have to accept a teacher, a spiritual master. Some people may say, why do I need a guru? I'll go directly to Krishna. But it doesn't work like that. Krishna's mercy is very vast. It's like an ocean, but we can't handle all at once, right? That's why we need an acharya, a guru, a teacher who can guide us and give us mercy in the right amount. You see, like a dam, when it releases the water, it just rushes, So it should become like a dam, releasing just enough water to help a plant grow without growing it. That is very, very important, right? So I'll give you an example. Maybe this example can give you a kind of a U-turn, See, there were three people stayed in an apartment. Okay. They're staying in the 40th floor. So one day they went down to buy some groceries, some subjis, vegetables. But when they wanted to return back, the lift was not working. So they decided, let's climb climb all the way by telling some stories so that we get stay motivated. So one person told a story till the 10th floor. Then another person, he went till 38th floor. Then the last one said, I don't have a story, but I have a news. So what is that? Actually, we forgot the keys at the shop. Oh my God. So even after all their hard effort, they still couldn't enter the house. Just like no matter how much we do, if we don't have the key for spiritual master, we can't enter the spiritual home. That is the lesson. So the guru is like a key, right? And along with that, you should also have qualities like humility, non-violence, self-control, because these things will naturally develop when we follow the path properly. So the central point, what I want to share in this slide is that without Krishna, Krishna is one day Krishna Jagat Guru. Without Krishna, the knowledge has no value. So one who is not a devotee of the Lord, it's very difficult for him to understand the qualities, to understand the mysterious, aspects of God. So it's very easy to do bhakti, but you have to follow properly. That's why it says Acharya Upasana. What does it mean? One cannot become a devotee, or a bhakta just by one's own effort. One should accept, worship Acharya, a guru, a teacher, with a great respect. Accept his instruction, follow them, then it's possible. Or else I can just say, go to schools, colleges, you have books in the library, just read them and pass. You may pass, but the realization, the experience, you will not get. That is why it is very important that we have to be trained by a teacher who is an expert, right? That's why an acharya is very important. But same time, should also set an example, like values, like for example, humility. See, it's not that no, I have a sufficient knowledge, I don't care for God. No, education is making only a false pride. No. What is education? Education is educarry, to bring within out. That's called education. Right? And the teacher is an expert. He has the realization. He has the experience. So he knows what is best for you, and accordingly he can guide you. So a teacher is a must in one's life. Second thing is non-violence. Yeah. So somebody is killing, somebody is destroying his own body, suicide. It's very difficult. It's a really a very horrible path. That's why non-violence. Not that you put others into distress. Everyone is suffering, thinking I'm this body. So if you don't help and let them, if you don't help yourself and you want them to suffer, then what does it mean? It's a non-violence. So what we should do is, you should have this question: how can I receive them, their sufferings? Because their suffering is permanent, but it can be temporary also. By how? By giving the spiritual knowledge. That's it says Atma Vigraha. Sorry, Atma Vignagraha. What does it mean? Controlling the mind. I've been telling from the day one. Mind is like a monkey. Monkey. It's monkey. You make the monkey sitting in one branch. Will it sit? No, it keeps on hopping from one branch to another branch, because monkey is what it's like, always chanchala. So our mind also is like very chanchala. So we have to control, put him in action. That's why I told you in my last class also, there are 3 ways of controlling mind. So one of the way I told them is to have a teacher in life, follow the instruction of a guru, of course, doing other good to others, that's a different. But main thing I told you that, we have to have a teacher, because teacher knows what is best for us and he'll always guide us. And of course, very important thing is that, we should not, we should not accept those things, which is very detrimental to spiritual progress. For example, somebody as a friend, but he has a lot of bad habits. He smokes, he drinks, So you have to be very careful not to be so close to him, because the sang asang says, the association of that person will come on you also. So whatever you feel is detrimental, be far away. Let's say you have a friend, and he's a meat eater, and he's calling for a program, festival. So you surely know that he's going to make you to eat non-veg. So you should be careful and you should not go there. That's very important, because most important is controlling our tongue, because our tongue is controlled, then everything will be controlled. Tongue is like very sharp. You should know what to speak, So that's why it says, in Bhagavad Gita, there's a very beautiful very beautiful verse in Gita. It says, when you speak, it should be very pleasing, not hurting, and it should be very palatable. Anudvekam karam vakim, that's very important. And then lastly, this eyes should be used by only seeing the Lord's darshan, all good things, not bad things. So we know this three example, right? Somebody is closing his eyes, somebody is closing his ears, somebody is closing his mouth. It has a completely opposite answer. See, we should not hear bad things. We should hear all good things. Krishna Katha. This mouth is used for taking Krishna Prasadam and to speak only good things, which is not agitating to others. And even the eyes, we should see only nice things, taking the son of the Lord, going to the temples, So that is how we can engage ourselves in the Lord's service. So now my question for all of you, after showing all this slide and explanation, what is very essential, to truly enter into a spiritual home? To have a guru, a teacher, a qualified spiritual master. It's very important because he knows what is our weakness and he will help us to grow from there. That is very, very important. Yes. Now, finally, we see that, people are very eager. Oh, okay. You said about guru. So if somebody may ask, Prabhuji, can you become my guru? Actually, becoming a guru is not a joke. Actually, if you want somebody accept as your master, the guru, then first thing is you have to observe that person at least for 3-4 years, and then take decision. Not that today we heard a class from Mahatma Priya Prabhu. He spoke about Jnana Yoga, and he was telling that to progress in spiritual life, bhakti, we should have a guru. So then you cannot just go ask anybody, please give me diksha. No, we should not do that. What we should do is, if you really want to take diksha, initiation, then at least for 3-4 years, you have to observe that person. Should follow his instruction. You should hear his harikatha. Then you'll get a proper trainer who can train you. With that, what happens, you will learn with a great humility, and then success is guaranteed. Not that, okay, we heard this lecture, let us go to Vrindavan, let us go to Kashi, let us have a guru in life. So you say, Prabhuji, I have a guru now. No, that is wrong thing, We have to always make sure that, we at least wait for certain years, then decide to take Diksha. This is very important. And finally, here, the simple formula is self-control. It says rejection of anything that hinders spiritual progress. What does it mean? It means if someone earns 40,000 rupees every month, is still able to chant, take prasadam, be with the devotees, practice bhakti nicely, very peaceful, spiritual life is going very smoothly, that is good. But somebody got a promotion, instead of 40,000, is getting 2 lakhs per month as a salary, and is so busy that it doesn't have a time to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. It doesn't have a time to do bhakti. It doesn't have a time, to spend time with the devotees. He is so busy in the management, just trying to, money, 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 money. That's why I keep saying, money is sweeter than honey. If it is somebody else's money, right? So you have to understand that Krishna's one name is Lakshmi Pati, right? So Lakshmi is Krishna's, So we have to use in Krishna's service. Then it makes a big difference. What you get a very high salary, but you're not able to do any progress in bhakti, that means the formula is very simple. Reject anything that blocks your spiritual growth. So whatever you feel, that it's blocking your bhakti because of this, you have to avoid. Because the whole purpose is that we have to become a nice human being, nice person, nice devotee, nice bhakta. For that, we need to have a time for ourselves. Always busy, then it will be very difficult. All right. That's why it is very important. So if you think, you got a double promotion, you think, you got something higher post, understand, even by that, are you getting time to chant your rounds? Are you getting time to read scriptures like Bhagavad Gita? Are you getting time to visit temples? Are you getting a time to follow Ekadashis? If this is not happening, then you should know that this has become a big hindrance, an obstacle for me to progress in bhakti. All right, that is very important thing. Now we'll come back to the very important aspect, Atma and Paramatma. So in this section, we'll talk about the soul and the super soul. That is Atma and Paramatma. I'm sure we have discussed this in the previous verses also, but still I will go once again. This is from a 13th verse from chapter 13. It says, Kshetra Gnanam Chapi Mam Vidhi Sarva Kshetra Bharata Kshetra Kshiknayar Gnanam Yatta Gnanam Matam Mama. He says, I shall now explain the knowable, knowing which you will taste the eternal Brahman, the spirit, beginningless and subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. You may say, I'm not able to understand this translation. Can you help me? Actually, it's very interesting, See, if you're interested in spiritual life, then you should try to know soul and super soul in detail. That is why we should be searching for the knowledge. Knowledge is very important. It's like a sword, actually, It's like a sword. So the challenge is that the soul can be perceived, but super soul is more difficult to know, completely unknown and cannot be known by our efforts. But how can we know? Yes, by a guru, a teacher. Its knowledge can be only gained by through a spiritual master. Now, I have heard a couple of times people say, Prabhuji, does the soul also suffer? And I've been telling you from last couple of classes, no. The answer is no, no, no. Soul doesn't suffer. Soul doesn't suffer. Why? Because the soul itself does not suffer because it appears like suffering. Why? Because when we identify with the body and mind, the moment you don't identify with the body and mind, then the soul doesn't suffer. So I'll give you a simple breakdown. See, the Atma, what is really is, Atma. Remember I told you sloka, the soul cannot cut into pieces. It can't be burnt, It's eternal. It's always there. Right? And it is full of knowledge and bliss. Sachidananda. And it is untouched by material pain or pleasure. So first thing is, soul is eternal. It can't cut into pieces. All right. There's no birth, it's no death. That is one thing we can understand. Second thing is, why does it seem like the soul is suffering? Actually, when the soul, when it identifies with the body and mind, like a person in a dream. Remember, how many of you watched movies in the school days, college days? When I watched. Sometimes, when I see some kind of a scene, the tears start gliding from my eyes. Sometimes even I start crying. Same time, I'm also eating popcorn. What does it mean? It means that when the soul identifies with the body and mind, like a person in the dream, when the body is in pain, the soul thinks, okay, I am in pain. When the mind is very anxious, the soul feels, I am disturbed. But in reality, it is the body and mind that suffers, not the soul. This is very important to understand, like a person who's watching a very sad movie. You see his eyes, he'll be crying, his heart is very much heavy. But deep down, he's very safe sitting in the couch, and having popcorn, right? So the soul is like that, the soul is like that, it is detached, but misidentifying with the story. That's why we need to understand that we're not this body, we are soul. That is what Krishna spoke to Arjuna in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. He just told the first thing that, Arjuna, I've already killed all these people. You're just killing the body, you're just killing the dead body, I've already did everything. So he's educating that I'm not this body, I'm soul. Remember, we gave that pastime of the cage, there was parrot inside. If you start only cleaning the cage, not giving importance, not giving food for the parrot, what happens? The parrot will die. Parrot is compared to that soul, that's very important, If the soul is not taken care, you've only taken care about the body, then what is the use? So when you nurture the soul nicely, then you'll be very healthy. So this is from Bhagavad Gita, from second chapter, we spoke about this. Matras prasastu kaunteya, shuttasti sukha dukkataha. Even Krishna is very clearly confirming. He's saying, O son of Kunti, the appearance of happiness and distress are like a summer and winter. They arise from sense contact and one must tolerate them. So Krishna is telling to Arjuna that this experience do not touch the soul. They belong to the body, and senses, but they are not the body. All right. So the conclusion, what I want to make you understand is that the soul doesn't suffer, but due to false ego, misidentifying, I am the doer, it thinks I am suffering. But the real happiness comes only when the soul reconnects with Krishna. Then, the suffering ends. Period. This is what I wanted to share. Now, some of the characteristics of the soul is that the soul is, there's no expiry date for the soul. There's no birth, there's no death. It is eternal. And dependent on Krishna, always dependent, and it's beyond the cause and effects of the material world. So this is a very, very important knowledge, So we should first of all know that I'm not this body, I'm soul. All right. Now, in this verse, we emphasize on the soul. Now let us speak on Paramatma. Okay. It says, Bahir antascha bahutanam achiram charam evacha Suksmatavat tat agnayam durastam chantikhe chathat. The supreme truth exists outside and inside of all living beings, the moving and the non-moving, because he is subtle. He is beyond the power of the material senses to see or to know. Although far, far away, he is also near to all. So I think none of us would understand what I said. So I'll explain you in a very easiest way. Paramatma, the Supreme Lord. He is present everywhere, both inside and outside of all living beings. We, as a Jiva, we have two parts, body and soul. But the Lord is undivided. You cannot say Paramatma also has a body and Atma. No, you cannot say that. It doesn't have a separate body and the soul like his, because his form is spiritual and complete. So I'll explain you how it works. Okay. Now, these are some of the attributes of a God, super soul. First thing is that, our senses, mind, intelligence, everything comes from him. He is the origin of all senses, but God's senses are not material like us. They are spiritual and they are perfect. So, while we are limited souls, the Lord is the supreme. He is all knowing, always present within the hearts of all living being as Paramatma. Do you all remember? We had one technical class one day. We spoke about Krishna. His first expansion was Balaram. And from Balarama comes who? We spoke about Chaturvyaha, that is Sankarsana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and Vasudeva. From Sankarsana comes three Vishnus. Remember three Vishnus? Not the Brahma, Maheshwara, not that one. The three Vishnus, that was Karanadaya Vishnu, Garbhadaya Vishnu, and Shradaya Vishnu. Remember these three things? Exactly right. So there we spoke about the last part, Shradaya Vishnu. He is a Paramatma. How? Because he takes a lot of avatars. Remember I showed you a slide where Krishna was there. Then we had the 10 Dasha avatars. All right. So this is what we can understand, that Krishna is everywhere. And just a couple of days back we discussed. We said among the rivers, he is Ganga, among the, mountains, he is Himalayas. Among the sound is Om, and we said among the, rains, thunderbolt. So many examples we gave, that Krishna is everywhere, all pervading. That's why it says he is omnipresent, both inside and outside of all life forms, and, but he doesn't have body and soul, like us. This is what I wanted to make you clear, understand. Paramatma in everybody's heart, right? Okay. Now look at this, very interesting. Who can know Atma and Paramatma? It says, Iti kshetram tatha jnanam, gnayam chokam samastatha, mad bhakta etad vignaya, mad bhavayo papa yate. It says, thus the field of activities, that's the body, knowledge, and the noble have been similarly described by me. Only my devotees can understand this thoroughly and thus attain my nature. So I'll explain you. I know it's a little complicated, I'll tell you what does it mean. It says only a true devotee, a bhakta. Now, Hanuman also was a great bhakta, right? So Bhakta means a nice devotee of the Lord. A true devotee of Lord Krishna, only he can understand the deeper knowledge about this wisdom, what I'm sharing today. That is Atma Paramatma. Because that is the real wisdom. You see, somebody says, Prabhuji, I'm going to temple every day. It's just going for temple or visiting some holy places is not enough, Without devotion, we cannot realize the truth. That's why, we always say, no, please chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. From the beginning of the class, there's a Mahamantra going on. End of the class, we keep reminding you, please chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Try to read this book, Bhagavad Gita, the timeless wisdom. It is a bridge between a clarity and confusion. Arjuna stood in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. He had a conflict, he got a clarity from this book, Bhagavad Gita, and the author is Srila Prabhupada. Right? So we have to chant the Mahamantra, we have to read Bhagavad Gita, and then you become very dear to Krishna. Then it's very easy to understand if the knowledge gets revealed. But one thing is very catchy. What is that? Arjuna also was very eager, but he was not envious. So even we should not become envious towards Krishna. Then you can have that hunger, and Krishna will give you, and it will be easy for us to digest. That's why even great devotees like Kunti Maharani, she understood that the problem in life actually make us remember Krishna, make us remember God. But how many of you say, Prabhu, I go for temple, I'll ask God, give me problem. Will you say that? You will never say that. You ask rather, Lord, I have so many problems. Please bless me. Take care of me. That's what you said. So even when we pray for more problems, because Kunti Maharani, she's self-realized. She knows, the more I have a problem, the more I get opportunity to remember Krishna. But we are not in that platform. So only devotees, can see the purpose behind the suffering and understand the truth of life. So if you become a nice devotee, very simple, I told you. Chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, read Bhagavad Gita. If you have Tulsi at home, do worship of Tulsi. And coming Saturday, we have Ekadashi, twice it comes in a month. Follow Ekadashi. So by doing all these things, it will be very, very easy for us, to practice bhakti, and we can understand the depth knowledge of Bhagavan Krishna. All right. So here it says, rather than trying to be a controller, if we surrender our control to Krishna, it will bring us real happiness. What does it mean? I'll tell you a story type, then you'll even understand. So once upon a time, there was a king who ruled the kingdom, but many problems kept coming, The enemies started attacking on the kingdom, people were suffering, and the king felt very guilty. He thought, enough is enough, because of me, all these problems are coming, better, I am fit for nothing, all these problems are happening because of me only. I am not a very good king. Let me resign. Let me leave this kingdom. So one night, this king, he left, he quit the palace and walked away from the palace, and then what happened? He saw one sannyasi, he was chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, saintly person. So the sannyasi asked, who are you? Where are you going? The king replied, say, I am a king, but I'm tired. I failed to protect my people, so I left everything. Then the sannyasi smiled and said, if you don't want to rule the kingdom, give it to me. I will take care of it. The king said, wow, it's a good idea. Okay, fine. So he said, okay, fine. You can, take care of this, So now it's no longer mine, You take it, he said. And the king said, now I will find. So now this is what the conversation happened, right? The king handed over the whole responsibility to the sannyasi. And sannyasi he smiled and said, if you don't want to rule the kingdom, just give it to me. I'll take care of it. And the king also said, okay, it's no longer of mine. You take it, he said. Now, then the king said, now I have to find a job because I have to earn for my survival. The sannyasi, he replied, why you go somewhere else, Can you work under me? The king agreed, okay, I can work under me. Okay, what is my job? What's the profession? The sannyasi said, no, you go back and rule the kingdom, but now not as a owner, rule as my servant. And the king said, okay. So now the king now he returned back, and he ruled the kingdom again. But this time with a new mindset, with a new thought, this kingdom is not mine. I am just doing my duty as per the sannyasi has told. So I am not the real owner, that is sannyasi. Because he didn't feel like I am the controller anymore, automatically he had no stress, and he worked very hard also. He got better results and he lived very peacefully. And all the, citizens of kingdom, they're very happy with the king because the king never took the credit. So the message of what I want to, convey is that, see, when we think everything belongs to me, we suffer. My house, my child, my family, we feel pain when they don't act as we want. But if we understand everything belongs to Krishna, then we feel very peaceful. We just do our duty and leave the result to him. I keep saying from day one, do your best, leave the rest, but don't fail the test. And I wish you all the best. And that is the real happiness. So let us stop being the controller and let Krishna be in charge. Remember we spoke about one sloka? Bhoktaram Egnatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Surtan Sarvabhutanam Gnatramam Shanti Rachate. So Krishna is the controller, Krishna is the enjoyer, Krishna is a true well-wisher, a true friend. So when we know these three things, it is easy for us to do bhakti without no stress, and we'll be very happily practice Krishna consciousness. I'll not take much time. We have still another 10 minutes to go. So here on the screen, you see who is truly happy. One side, there's Krishna and Balram, they're doing dancing, and everybody looking at him and they're very all happy. One side, people in the nightclub, it's a New Year party, I believe. They're all just having a cocktail and they're also feeling very happy. Now, I want to have a small comparison. Who is really happy here? One side, the devotees of Krishna who's singing, dancing, taking prasadam, serving the Lord, they're happy. Or you see the other side, people also dancing, people also singing, but they are not in the temple. They are in the pubs, parties, bars. They're drinking, they're taking drugs. Look like they're happy. So my question for you is, what is real happiness? Now, I'll give you my own personal example. One day at the brahmachari, Janmashtami was coming, So what I did is, I went to meet on a film producer. Okay. So I asked him, sir, now Janmashtami is coming. Can you please give some small donation for our spiritual program? The producer looked at me. He said, are you happy? Are you waking up early? Why are you wearing this dhoti and kurta? What is this shika? Are you happy? And as a brahmachari, I looked at the producer. I said, I have a question, sir. Are you happy? I said. Producer said, yes, I am happy. Then I asked, what do you do when you're very happy? Said, I'm very happy means I sing. Oh, really? When? Maybe once in a week or maybe once in 15 days. Then I said, wow, that's amazing. When are you very more happy? I said, I'm more happy when I dance. So when do you dance, sir? I said, maybe I dance in once or twice in a month. Where do you dance? Said, I dance in a bar. Then I said, I sing, I dance 3 times in a day. Morning in the Mangalarti, afternoon in the evening Arati, in the Shingar Arati, that is afternoon time, and then and evening in the Gaura Arati. So I'm happy more than you, sir, I said. And the producer looked at me. He was quite silent, Actually, see, I'll tell you honestly, people don't know what is a real happiness in spiritual life. They are searching happiness in a wrong place. They think, if I drink, if I smoke, if I indulge in sex life, I think I'm very happy. No, it's like I'll give you an example. It's like a mosquito sitting in the cow's udder. What's udder? Where they try to get the milk from the cow, right? Udder, So instead of drinking the milk, it drinks the blood of that udder, the mosquitoes. So in the same way, the nectar of spiritual life is always available, but people choose temporary, harmful. People want to watch reels. Why? Because they're getting a dopamine. What do you say? It's a kind of a pleasure hormones. Actually it's a fake happiness. Actually, So if you really want to be happy, then we should help people. See that, they're chanting Hare Krishna mantra, they're dancing, they're satsang, then the real joy. So that's what I'm trying to say. That the joy is not just once a week. It's daily. It's forever. So let us choose milk over blood. Not that you see the udder, instead of getting the milk, there's a mosquito sitting on the udder and trying to suck the blood. So let us choose Krishna's happiness, not a temporary happiness. This is what it's mean that true Krishna conscious happiness. So you might see they're really happy. Look at their faces, But if you really go and ask them, they say it was a plastic smile. But look at Krishna. He is like jumping on the air, That is a real happiness. That is what I want to convey you. So like I was working for Microsoft, You may think, sir, I have this question to ask beginning only. Now that you brought this question, why did you left the job, sir? You have such a high paid salary. Actually, it's very simple. You don't get the higher taste, the satisfaction when you serve the Lord. Then you work for a company where you get a lot of money. Money is sweeter than honey if it is somebody else's money, right? So the real wealth, the real happiness comes when you get the higher taste. And that is by serving the Lord. That's why the scripture says, Sarvapadi vinirmuktam tat paritvena nirmalam. Rishikena rishikesa sevana bhaktir uchyate. Right now, our mind, our senses are contaminated. But when we try to engage in Lord's service, they get purified. And then we are really happy. We are very, very blissful. So, I'll not take much time. So here's a wonderful slide. I want to just convey you that why do we get different bodies? We see Paramatma, soul, desire, nature, body. I'll give you a small example. It's very easy to understand. See, every soul has a desire. And based on the desire, the nature provides the body. And Paramatma in the heart sanctions. For example, let's say if the soul wants to fly, nature provides that body. And then it becomes like a bird, can fly in the sky. Let's say somebody wants to sleep for a long time. Nature, Prakriti, provides a body of a bear. You know how many days bear sleeps? No, not days, months. 6 months it sleeps, So if you think, I want to become a bear, then sleep a lot and still feel sleepy. For example, in a day, sleep for 10 hours, still feeling very sleepy, because that is how called, once you're entangled, it's very difficult to come out. Habit, Habit. You remove H, still a bit is there. You remove A, still bit is there. Remove B, still it is there. It doesn't go. It's like a Fevicoil, That's why when you have Krishna in our life, then it becomes a miracle, right? So what I mean to say here is that if somebody desires that I want to enjoy the material pleasure, then they will get a human body, but lot of suffering also. They say, ding dong bell, one more in the well. So understand this. Ding dong bell, one more in the well. What does it mean? You want happiness, but happiness also comes with a, suffering also. Right? But just imagine, somebody is desiring a spiritual progress, then the nature also provides a human body where you get so many opportunities. For example, now in coming days, we have a Ratha Yatra festival. Jagannath Ratha Yatra all over the world. So I'm getting an opportunity to go ahead and do Sankirtan. Go ahead, help the team, So that is what I want to say, So when we connect to God, then you get a lot of, understanding, That understanding gives you a real pleasure, So that's why I'm requesting you that stay connected in this 18 days online class. All the questions will be answered, This is how the system works. The soul desires, nature gives a body, and Paramatma sanctions. So if we modify our desire according to scriptures, then we can cut the chain of birth and death. Otherwise, Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, So otherwise we'll keep on, the same chain, birth, death, old age, disease. So only thing one can change. What is it? Have a teacher, have a guru in life. Utilize this body, in the, as per the Shastra it's mentioned, it purifies. Else you only get discriminated and you feel like I'm not fit to be this human, And people do suicide also because of this. So should be very careful, Body is a facility, Once, one has a godly body, you should use it right away. Or else you'll get a body of a dog with the nails and paws, What is the use, No use. So everything, if it's not used in the seva, then we'll be the losers. Maya is very strong, okay? What is Maya? Maya is that which is not. That's called Maya. So we should be very, very careful. And I'll take another 2 minutes, So finally, I want to say that Kshetra Kshetragnan Evam Anantaram Gnana Chakshusha Bhutha prakriti moksham cha ye vidur yanti te param. Those who see with the eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage in material nature, attains to spiritual goal. So this is the eye of wisdom. You know, this is explained in the final sloka of chapter 13, Bhagavad Gita. One who sees the difference between the body and the knower of the body. Body is this, knower of the body is the soul, and understand the process of liberation, such person attains supreme. So what does this mean? This means that the body is just a vehicle, and the knower of the body is the soul, and the Paramatma, is also inside guiding us. So when we see this clearly, I am not this body, I am soul, then we can start the journey towards liberation. And when we understand why we got this body, how to come out of the cycle of birth and death, then we are in the path of reaching Krishna in the Vaikuntha. So don't just live like this body, live like a soul, guided by the soul in our heart as a Paramatma. That is the real knowledge, and that is the real wisdom. That's the eye of the wisdom. It can be achieved. Hare Krishna. So thank you so much for your patience. So we'll have a quick summary of what I discussed today. The whole, chapter 13. Nature, the enjoyer, and the consciousness. So we explained about the distinction between the body, the field of activity, the prakriti, and the soul. So we spoke about body and the soul, and also we saw how it reveals that the soul is different from the body, and that of the Paramatma, the super soul, is the ultimate knower of all bodies. So this chapter also describes the qualities of a real knowledge and the process of gaining liberation through understanding the difference between a matter, spirit, and the supreme. So the message that you can take home today is that real wisdom is to understand the difference between a body, soul, and super soul, and to see Krishna as the ultimate enjoyer in the knower of all things. By this knowledge, one becomes free from illusion and attains liberation. So, my one last question for today is, from today's chapter, what is the ultimate knower of all bodies? This is the Paramatma, super soul, who is the ultimate knower of all bodies. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for your patience. I really appreciate, and I mean a lot, when you're, hearing this in the last so many days.